We also have Mr. Ken Kuntz, who will bring us our prayer this morning. Thank you, Mr. Kuntz.
Thank you, our brother.
Our brother.
Please, thank you.
If y'all don't,
Leaning on the shield.
if you don't address me appropriately,
Okay, I'm sorry. Bishop. Thank you very much.
Oh,
Yeah, go ahead.
here, give him the mic.
Y'all know about this.
Ain't nothing been put in there.
No, that. Lock the door.
Write you a check.
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
It's a great day. I love the rain, but not today. I love cold, but not today. But there's one thing that I do love, and this is a new day that the Lord has made, and so we'll rejoice and be glad in it, and I hope you will too. Let's pray. Dear Lord, we thank you for this day, the rain, the blessing of life, and all that goes along with it, the good, the bad, the indifferent. But as we convene this morning to do what we've been called to do, let the words of our mouths and the meditations of our hearts be acceptable in your sight, O Lord, our strength and our Redeemer. Amen.
Amen.
Okay, do we have any first timers today? Anyone here for the first time? First time, okay, so you all, okay, I'm gonna let you introduce yourself.
Well, my name is Alan Davis, and I am the driver for Mimi, so I am the driver.
Good morning.
Driving Miss Daisy. Right. Okay, do we have any other first timers? Anyone? Oh, okay.
Hi, good morning. I'm Georgia Howie. I learned about this from, I think it was Lynn Robinson.
Yes. Thank you so much for coming and come back, both of you. Okay, this is for our first timers. We have, I'll then go ahead and introduce our guest today. Presenting today will be Ms. Kristine Smith, and she is the clerk to the Board of County Commissioners. And she's here today to present to us, okay? Following her presentation, we'll take questions from the audience, but you need to raise your hand and I'll call on you in the order that you have raised your hand, okay? So you don't need to call on them I'll do that, okay? Thank you very much. Okay, so following our forum, which ends at 10 o'clock, we will stop and take announcements if you have any announcements, okay? And I want you to silence your phones if you have not silenced your phone. And when it's time for questions, we give you 30 seconds to ask your questions. And then we only have one person, so she can answer. It won't be like we have 5 people up there. So that would be fine. But just remember to take only 30 seconds to ask your question. Okay, so we're going to begin. Thank you so much for being with us today and for your presentation.
Okay, can everybody hear me? Good morning, and thank you for having me. My name is Kristine Smith. I am clerk to the Board of County Commissioners. I have been in this role since June of 2021. Some of you are familiar with Ms. Janice Page. She was clerk to the board for close to 34 years, I think, before she retired. And we had someone come in that had taken her place. I was not quite ready. I was the deputy at the time. I was not quite ready for that. But sometimes when you think you're not ready for something, God or someone will tell you that you are ready. So once that clerk decided after a little over a year that she the role wasn't for her, I had taken over in the interim, and then decided that maybe this is for me. So I've been doing this since June 2021, and I love it. It's not what people necessarily would call exciting. It's exciting for me because I love it, but people may not see it as an exciting job, but it is very rewarding. Just to go back a little bit, I have been in Charlotte for about 21 years now. I am from a little town in central Pennsylvania called Williamsport. If you're familiar, that is the home of the Little League World Series, so that is our claim to fame. Anyway, so again, thank you for having me. The first thing that I thought would be a good idea to go through, now I'm working this presentation, so I'm hoping that it's gonna do what it needs to do. There we go. If you ever had to deal with the county clerk, you may go on the website or something and look up the county clerk. You might get me, you might get the clerk of courts. Unfortunately, we probably both get calls for each other's services, and it gets a little confusing for the public. So I just kind of wanted to give the distinction between the county clerk of courts and the county to the Board of County Commissioners. So the clerk of courts is a judicial role. They focus on the court-related functions. They maintain court records, they filing, they oversee jury management. Whereas my role is more legislative and administrative. And I focus on administrative support, record keeping for the county government, and policy making. So hopefully that gives you a little insight. If you have any kind of fines, if you have some kind of trial, a court date, any type of child, family matters that need to be in court, that is the clerk of courts. And if you call my office, we are nice enough to give you that phone number so that you get to the right people. These are my bosses. There are a total of 5 people who are appointed by the board. That is the county manager, the county attorney, the tax assessor, the tax collector, and me, the county clerk. So what does that mean to be appointed? That means that you need a majority, it's at least 5 in this case, to be hired, and a majority, and that's 5 in this case, to be fired. I still am considered a county employee, but that is the number one, probably most important caveat that it takes 5 votes. One thing that I just wanted to mention about the board is that we are out of the 100 counties in North Carolina, we are the only one that still has 2-year terms. All other counties have 4-year terms. And if you think about that, unfortunately for our board, they want to start programs or services and things like that, and it takes a while for them to get off the ground sometimes. And when you are every other year trying to work to get elected and it's election season, it can be very difficult, and especially if you don't know if you're going to be reelected. So that is something that they have on our legislative agenda to hopefully change so that they get 4-year terms like the other 99 counties in North Carolina. And this is me. And I hope it's gonna do this, but it may not. Yes, there you go. So this is me. I sit at the dais with the board during their meetings. So because I'm taking minutes and doing other things just to make sure they are on track and doing the right things. So the clerk is one of the oldest professions, in North clerk's position is required by statute. So the county and the board is required to have a clerk. This is the description on the website. If you go to my page, I will read it because this is what I'm going to be talking about going forward. The clerk's office is committed to providing Mecklenburg County residents with an accessible and transparent government. The clerk provides official notice of board meetings, records meeting minutes, and all official actions of the Board of County Commissioners. They maintain the county's ordinances. We serve as custodian of the county seal. Prepares and distributes meeting agendas, assists the public to register to speak at board meetings, administers the board's appointment process for advisory boards, archives and provides access to the board's permanent records, and administers the oaths of office and publishes public notices. So there are official notices of meetings that I am required to give notice of. Regular meetings. So the regular meetings of board is a full year schedule. It is the calendar year. I create the schedule sometime in November. The board approves the meeting schedule, the first meeting in December, and we have to post it at the courthouse, and we have to publish it in a newspaper of general circulation. So here in Charlotte, that is the Charlotte Observer. So you will see this huge legal notice of the dates from January to December of the meetings that the board will be having. If there is a change to a regular meeting, we gotta do it all over again. We gotta get the approval from the board, and we have to post it 7 calendar days before the first meeting held that is affected by the new schedule. There are special meetings that a majority of the board can call. In these special meetings, we have to give 48 hours before the meeting happens. We can't do it at 2 o'clock and it's gonna happen 2 o'clock, 2 days. We have to get that meeting out at 1:59 before the meeting starts. And with special meetings, they can only speak to what they are holding the special meeting for. And with emergency meetings, it's a little different because you don't anticipate emergencies. So you can only post a notice as soon as you know that meeting is gonna occur. And this also would need, we post these as well as special meetings on our website and at the courthouse on the bulletin board. And then there's our meeting agendas. So the clerk's office, we actually manage the agenda process. There's departments that put these items on, the county manager put these items on the agenda, and commissioners can put items on the agenda. But we manage that agenda process, and we put that agenda online for the public no later than the Friday before the meeting. At that time, we also notify the sunshine list. And I don't know if people are familiar with the sunshine list, but what happens is that you can go on our website. There is, and I'm pretty sure as soon as the first page of our website, there is a link that you can click to ask to be notified of whenever we have any type of meeting. That includes the special meetings, any type of activity that is going on. You can go on there. Now I have it at mecnc.gov/subscribe. That's pulled up. So you should be able to do that. It's a very simple form, and it also tells it, you get to check the different types of notifications that you would like to have for different events and things. That was it on that. So for our meetings, we follow a certain procedure. We use Robert's Rules of Order. If you're not familiar with that, it is a set of strictly defined procedures that can be applied to many meeting situations. It's standardized framework for conducting meetings. Now, our county attorney by board policy is our parliamentarian. So the parliamentarian serves as an advisor to our commissioners. So if the commissioners are running the meeting, there's different motions that can be made. I know you hear somebody may call a question. There's some that just want to stop the conversation. That is actually a motion that the chairman of the board, as well as the attorney, is on and monitoring and making sure that these motions are handled properly. Any type of decisions that have to be made and that type of thing. And although the county attorney serves as the parliamentarian, I am also responsible for applying those rules of the parliamentary procedure during the meeting, just to help to ensure legal compliance. So me and the attorney during the meetings, hopefully you don't notice that, but we're tag teaming. So we have to make sure, because there are things that, although he is the attorney, he may not catch. And I do catch. So we do tag team during this meeting for that reason. So the board holds their regular meetings generally the first and third Tuesdays of every month, with a few exceptions. If there's a holiday or something, we may push it to a Wednesday. Statutorily, the board is only required to hold one meeting a month. My board holds 2 meetings a month, regular meetings. We also hold budget public policy workshops every second and optional 4th Tuesday. There's no public comment during this one. Actually, the regular meetings, we have public comment on both. Statutorily, again, we are required to hold one public comment during that one public meeting that we're required to hold. But since we have 2 regular meetings, we have 2 public comments. With the budget public policy workshops, you may just see a department head, one of our partners, stakeholders may come in and discuss policy, some updates, some type of changes that may be occurring with their budgetary ask, even though they cannot, if I'm not mistaken, directly just ask at that time. They just show kind of what their needs are and what just to give them a heads up of what is coming for that next budget. So speaking at a Board of County Commissioners meeting, this is really important for the public to be able to address the commissioners with their concerns. It doesn't always have to be in a negative. So say it may be something that is going on in our community that you want to make them aware of. There are 2 public comment periods in which citizens can speak, but it has to be within the board's purview. Now, we understand that sometimes people just find the different means to get the word out about something or get a concern out. But for the most part, we'd like to hear what is going on in our own community and what the board, you would like for the board to know about. You can sign up to speak online up to 3 p.m. the day of that meeting. And even if you don't meet that 3 p.m. deadline online, you can still sign up at the meeting up until that item comes up on the meeting. You can also speak to an agenda item that we do have on that agenda that we had sent out that Friday. And you will speak at that time. So if it's way down on the agenda, unfortunately, you may have to sit and wait for a few hours. But the good thing is that if this is something you feel strongly about, sign up to speak. It's you get 3 minutes if you are a group of 3, an individual or a group of 3 or less. If you have 4 or more people, you get 10 minutes to speak. The board can change that up, but one thing about our board is, and they'll talk about it in open session and say, they'll want to put it out there. Do you want to group all these people together that are speaking about the same topic? And if they do that, that whole group may get 10 minutes. my board usually says, we want to hear everyone. We want everybody to get a chance to speak. So it's very rare that you'll see them just say, if you're speaking on this particular topic, everybody gets 10 minutes and figure it out. You'll rarely hear that. Rarely, more often than not, they will want to hear from everybody. So, meeting minutes. The law mandates full and accurate minutes. That's it. That's, the General Assembly says full and accurate minutes, which obviously leaves a lot to be interpreted. That actually means that it should contain mainly a record of what was done at a meeting and not what was said by the members. We, in Mecklenburg County, we do summary minutes. So it's not, we will quote a commissioner when we're doing that. If a commissioner says, let that be part of the record, we are obligated to make that part of the record. If it's a hot topic, we're more detailed with it, because the hot topics, and historically, people want to know where some of these, and I always keep this in mind when the meetings are happening. People want to know how a commissioner voted. They want to know, what they had said about this, if they were for it, against it, and this is historical. But the law also says that the videos are considered minutes. There is a little problem with that, but if people read my minutes and they were like, I remember so-and-so said this, well, you probably, because my minutes, once they're approved, are official. And if that statement might not have been in there, it does not mean that my minutes are incorrect. It just means I did summary minutes, not verbatim. So you may have to watch the video to actually go back and hear what the commissioner said. Signing minutes are customary but not mandatory. Once the board approves those minutes in a meeting, they are approved official minutes. The signatures to make people feel good. If you ever see a set of minutes out there and it's not signed, it does not mean that they weren't approved. It just means they don't have a signature on it. So, those minutes are among records that must be maintained permanently in paper or in microfilm form. Closed session. Now, closed session sometimes gets to be a hot topic with people because people don't know what happened in closed session a lot of times. There is a list of statutory reasons why we can go into closed session. Just to name a few: personnel matters, land acquisitions, tax matters, etc. But they cannot stray from the specific topics they went into closed session for. So if you are in our open session meeting before we go into closed session, we will announce why we're going into closed session. It won't be like detailed or anything, but we will say we are going into closed session for land acquisition, for to consult with attorney, etc. And the commissioners, if somebody even starts to maybe and don't really know, sometimes you can go off and not really realize that you're going off topic because it's within that, they are stopped. So there's nothing talked about that you wouldn't know you were going into closed session for. Per statute, the minutes of a closed session must give a general account and be sufficient enough to give a person not present a reasonable understanding of what transpired. So you may not get the details of what happened in closed session, but you'll have an idea of what was discussed. The public can request closed session minutes. However, they may be withheld from public inspection, so as long as public inspection would frustrate the purpose. So you are not, it's very rare that you would get like a personnel, something that happened in closed session personnel. There's some laws and the attorney will look into it. You may have to redact some things, so you may get a copy of the closed session minutes with redaction. Or you just may not be able to get them. Like you won't get tax, any tax items that happen in closed session. Certain votes taken in closed session are preliminary. non-binding, like straw votes. They just get a temperature check in there because they have, the final vote has to be done at an open session. So you may notice, like say if they're doing the county manager's review and salary, performance review and salary, they will talk about that in closed session. But they cannot vote on that until, they have to bring it out in open session to vote on. Then there are some matters that do a final vote in closed session because they are very confidential. But that's all by statute, so there's just certain items that can be done that way. Ordinances. So, except as otherwise provided, the Board of County Commissioners may make any ordinance adopted pursuant to this Article 153A 48 to any part of the county not within a city. So some people don't really realize that when it comes to ordinances, our ordinances for the most part are for the ETJ. Unless we get buy-in from this, the city of Charlotte and the 6 towns, and they may be part of it. But we only have the ability to do ordinances for the ETJ. Unless, there's always an unless, unless they're acting as the Consolidated Human Services Agency. That is public health. And if they're doing something for public health, that is, the ordinance covers the whole county. Case in fact, the most, probably one that you'd be familiar with is the mask mandate that happened during COVID. That was a county-wide ordinance that came from our board. And I missed the most important part that I did this one. The clerk shall maintain an ordinance book separate from the minute book of the Board of County Commissioners. The ordinance book shall be indexed and shall be available for public inspection in the office of the clerk. We do have our set of ordinances, and it's by statute, I did not list them here, that we have to keep in the office. Now, we do have these online. You can go online and look at those ordinances. But it's important to state, we have to have this in a book. We have to have it tabbed in a book, and we have to have it ready and available. If you walk into the office and you say, I want to see the ordinance on such and such, whatever it is, junk cars or whatever it is that we have, and I don't have them, I can be fined for simply not having them in that book, and for you to be able to walk right up to it and open it up. So if the commissioners approve an ordinance on Tuesday, I better have that in the book Wednesday morning. If somebody wanted to challenge, just see, let's see if she's really on her stuff. Come in the office, it's not there, they very well could tell on me. So, advisory boards. This is a slogan we're using right now: be heard, get involved, make an impact. Advisory boards are very, very important to the Board of County Commissioners. The clerk's office manages approximately 47 citizen advisory boards. Some of them are joint boards with the city. Some of these are in place by statute, and some were created by the board. We advertise on our board's bulletin. If you're part of that sunshine list, or we get these, or you just go online and see, we do advertise them in the board bulletin. And we also have just started advertising on LinkedIn when we have vacancies. I have listed our 3 most needed citizen involvement: Adult Home Care Community Advisory Committee, the Nursing Home Community Advisory Committee, and Groundwater Advisory Committee. Those first 2, the adult care home and the nursing home, is critical. We have critical needs. on both of those, and they work hand in hand. We have over 20 vacancies on each one of them. And we have people that are on there currently on those advisory boards who just stay because we need them. Their terms have been up for years, but they stay, it's the caring and it's the need, but we really, really need people who just, have the time available and are able to do this type of work. They give training. We give a stipend. The stipend is not huge, but it's a stipend. It's $75 a month, and they pay it quarterly for these two advisory committees. So it covers your gas or whatever. I think you just make a couple visits in some time frame. And I don't want to speak to it because I don't have it all in my head. We're talking 47 citizen advisory boards, so I don't always have the details. But what I do have here, just so you know, I have printed out, and it's in the back table, all the details about each of the boards, what you need, how much time, what the qualifications are, which are very simple, being a Mecklenburg County employee, not have someone in the nursing homes that's a family member, that type of thing. And I also have this little brochure that actually shows all our boards. So you might find something that you're interested in. And there's a QR code you can scan, and you can also always call my office. But if you or you know someone who would be interested in doing this type of work, visiting these adult care homes and nursing homes, because that's what it is. It's visiting, it's looking for certain things, making sure that they're following certain laws, rules, whatever. But like I said, all that is in here if you're interested. So permanent records. Minutes and ordinances of the governing board are retained permanently. The General Assembly authorizes the Department of Natural and Cultural Resources to regulate the destruction of public records, which local governments agree to comply with. This is serious business right here. You get to that page. We have to bring the records retention that comes from the Department of Natural and Cultural Resources to the board. So the board approves it. So basically they're saying, okay, we're gonna follow your rules. The records retention is it's very detailed and complex, and you gotta wrap your head around it. And it's different for the county, it's different for the city, it's certain departments like the health department and human resources, they all have to follow a different type of retention. And like I said, they are very serious. That's why I put these, so you can see in the statute, destruction of records regulated. No public official may destroy, sell, loan, or otherwise dispose of any public record except in accordance with GS 121.5 and GS 138.98 without the consent of the Department of Natural and Cultural Resources. Whoever unlawfully removes a public record from the office where it is usually kept or alters, defaces, mutilates, or destroys it shall be guilty of a Class 3 misdemeanor. And upon conviction, only fine not less than $10, no more than $500. So they're very serious about public records and just making sure they are kept properly. They even talk about keeping them in safe places. We have had the natural resources come, and that's how serious, this is, public records is in my purview and something that I have to really make sure that these are kept in a manner that is worthy of our county. And I take this stuff very, very seriously. We have 2 vaults and we have a locked record room in which we keep these things. And in that locked record room, we did not fireproof it in that way. We have that powder. It doesn't come down water, it comes powder if a fire occurs in that room. And we do keep it locked. And there's a time limitation on confidentiality of records. Of course, there's always an exception, but after it expires after 100 years. So if a record is confidential, we have to keep it confidential for 100 years, and anybody can look at it if they choose to. So I just wanted to show you a picture of how we keep our records. I'm very proud of this because we had to go back through, we had people wanting to see some of these records, and I would say, sure, you can come, public, these are public records, you can come see them, bring your white gloves, because the pages will crumble. And my anxiety was up. And so I went to the board and said, we need to restore these books. And this is what it looks like. They're gorgeous. I love looking at these books. And as you see, our records go back to 1868. So, and they're all housed in the clerk's office. And I know it's not the greatest picture, but I went into some of the books of the 1800s so you can just see what they look like. I mean, these people hand wrote the minute. I can't imagine. I don't know if you've ever seen me in a meeting, and I'm typing as fast as I can, and I cannot capture these things right away. I have to go back and look sometimes at the videos. These people hand wrote with what do you do? The ink and the ink pens. It's amazing. And I came across some of these things that I just thought were pretty interesting. Unfortunately, they're kind of hard to see. But like the first one, it said they paid a company $1 to convey a dead body of a pauper to the cemetery. That second one says they paid someone for $2.60 for 2 pairs of women's shoes for paupers at the poorhouse. Third one says they agreed to pay someone for making 4 coffins for paupers for $10. The last one said it was ordered by the board that the sheriff be allowed 60 cents per day to feed prisoners while in jail. The one thing I did come across, and I was just reading, and I wish I would have went back to it to find it. If the pauper is black, it will say colored pauper. So they distinguish. So I would assume that the paupers here that they were speaking of were not a person of color. I just thought that was interesting. I wanted to share. Administering oaths. Right here you see there's a whole list of people who may administer oaths of office. And if you look at number 7, which I highlighted, last but not least, the clerk of any county, city, town, or incorporated village can administer oaths. So basically, I'm at the end of my presentation. I just wanted to highlight a couple of important upcoming events that we have. On May 29th, the board will conduct the budget straw votes. Based on the county's recommended budget, any changes the board wishes to make to the recommended budget, it will be talked about then, and what is available to be spent on one-time funding. The board, they try their best to get people to understand what they do with one-time funding. They usually have some money left from their fund balance, and that fund balance, after the manager gives a recommended budget, they'll talk about what is left for, I think they call it discretionary spending, whatever. One-time funding, not operation costs, one-time funding. So you may hear during a straw vote where one of the commissioners may say, this certain organization needs $50,000 for a new van. And the board would have to vote on that to add that to the budget. But they only have a certain amount of money that they can use for those type of things. If they go beyond that certain amount of money, they have to do, make some adjustments to the budget that the county manager had recommended. So, like I said, and I think this year, and don't quote me on this, but I think they're saying $30 million that's there that they can possibly use for certain one-time funding. So what I'm trying to say is, if it goes to 31 million, they gotta find that $1 million. So, and just a FYI, there is a recommended 96-cent property tax increase on the table. Now, I've always been one of those people, and I'm so glad they did it this year, because I feel like it's important for people to understand what that means. The 96 cent, 0.96 cent, not 96 cent, 0.96 cent property tax increase that is on it. If you want to know what that means for you, you take the value of your home times 0.0096, and that will tell you what that increase would be for the year. You divide that up by 12, that's what your monthly would be. And the budget this year is about $2.5 billion. On June 3rd, this is a regular meeting in which the county budget is expected to be adopted. We have to, there's a date by statute that we have to have that, that budget passed. It is in June. I can't think of what, I usually know this, but I don't, but it is in June, so we have to have it passed by that date. And on June 30th, our new county manager, Michael Bryant, will be sworn in. And I have been given the honor of swearing him in. And so I'm really excited about that. So, this next page just shows my department. And I have a great team. We're a team of 6. Everybody has their specialized responsibilities. Any of them can be contacted. All of us can be contacted. I can be contacted. We are very open. We are very helpful. We try our best to navigate. If we are not the right people for you to contact, we will make sure we get you to the right people. And that is it for me.
Oh, this is good.
That was so informative, so much I didn't know. Thank you. Okay, Ken has the first question.
First of all, this is my list of questions. And I'm gonna go with the first one, then I'll put my hand up for future ones.
Okay.
And my first one is really a yes or no answer, because I don't want you to get into a whole bunch of details about it, but just a yes or no. With all that you have presented as the clerk, do you have a therapist and do you dye your hair?
Did you say yes or no?
No, if you need to explain, that's fine. Or none of your business.
No and yes. The one thing that I did not mention, I am part of the International Institute for Municipal Clerks, and I'm also part of the North Carolina Association for County Clerks, and I am on the board of directors for the North Carolina Association. And so they are also my sisters. So we can bend off each other, we can talk about commissioners and people that give us grief, and then that way when you see me, I've gotten all that out.
That's the therapist side.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, very informative, sharing the program here today. My question is about, you talk about records. And I saw the volumes of books. Has anybody ever thought about digitizing those records in light of, the technology we have today? and, that'll be a safer situation.
It's funny that you mentioned that because, I try to put this presentation to be all-encompassing and you may have missed some things. The one thing that we have to do by the natural and cultural resources, we have to put our books on microfilm. Why is that? Because if you recall, we used to use those big old floppy disks, then we used to use CDs, and now what do we use? It is difficult. I have those little tiny cassettes in my office. I have nothing to play them on. We had to go buy a CD player to play some of these, to get the minutes. So we actually have to send our books to the natural resources so that they can put them on microfilm. And so we can have them permanently because there's no technology involved in that. It's just a matter of putting a little film on there and scrolling and it shows up on the screen. As long as you have that electricity to see it on the screen, that's it. And that's all kinds of technology.
Is that real archaic?
Okay,
Brigitte, I'm putting you back on the list.
We're gonna put you back on the list. We got so what? Esteemed state representative. So terrible.
Okay, yes.
Hey, good morning. Thank you again, Ms. Smith, for presenting. Can you share a little information about your career journey? May have young people that are watching online that may be interested in one day pursuing a career as a clerk of commissioners. As you stated, on the other side of the city, normally the clerk report comes from a traditional background, law. Tell us a little bit about your background and history behind you sailed to this position that you're in.
So I have worked as a paralegal for many years in Pennsylvania. I had an associate's degree in paralegal studies, so I didn't take that further. Mostly because of the town that I was in, it kind of was hard to really, get a career going. When I came here, I was like, oh my gosh, I've got so much competition, this is crazy. But I was also in the executive C-suites as executive assistants. And somehow those two things came together. I never saw myself in government, but someone who saw me in a way, I thank God for them, said, you would be good at this. And I find, I started as the board support. That's probably the lowest paid in county manager's office. But I learned everything that I could learn because I saw the opportunity to keep going as long as I work hard and get an understanding of what I'm doing. So the legal background helped me a lot. And being an executive assistant, so it was kind of like those two things were put together. And I just kept, learning and trying and wanting to learn and letting them know I wanted to learn. And I work closely with the attorney, so I have like the best leeway to get those understandings and increase in my knowledge in what I do. I hope that answers your question.
Good morning. I have a question about the straw vote. Can you tell us a bit more about the order of operations and the procedures that go around that for the release of those discretionary funds? Is it just for the organizations that are already funded by the county, or like how does that take place, or how are decisions made?
It's not necessarily for organizations already funded, and that can be contentious sometimes because we used to have the people who applied for the community service grants, and I don't know if you've seen the recommended budget, but this year they have cut those grants. Previously, it was like if people usurped that situation, it would be like they were trying to do a backdoor and go to the commissioners. That's how people saw it. But that isn't really true. Sometimes an organization just goes to a commissioner and has a commissioner advocate for them to get something. Or the commissioner has a knowledge of a need somewhere out in the community for a nonprofit, or for a certain, it could be anything. One of the commissioners asked for more land acquisition. So it can be something that they or just have knowledge of for the, themselves, or if somebody may have reached out to them.
Let's go.
Wait a minute, Laura and then Ken. You can give it to him. Go ahead and give it to him.
My question is, how many terms can one of the county commissioners serve? For how long can they serve? Is it every 2 years?
The terms are unlimited. Yes. So the unfortunate part about it is you can have somebody on there for 12 years, but for 6 of those years, they're like, they've got to be trying to, it's an election period.
Okay. Was that your question? Okay.
Okay.
Ken, and then, I had already called it before y'all raised your hands, I'm sorry, but I'll get you in. Then Jackie, and go ahead.
You mentioned that, the board does not engage in dialogue with public speakers. However, we have seen that often, happens that board members won't question us or whatever, and it does become dialogue with speakers. How is that, how do you as a clerk, manage that? Do you call a commissioner to responsibility, so you can't? Such two suggestions. To a suggestion. Oh, two suggestions out of order.
I won't call anybody out on, on the dais. Hopefully they police themselves on that. But if it was happening, I would, the attorney, it would be the attorney or I would talk to the chair after. Now, to be honest with you, I have not actually seen it since I've been there. I felt like they've been pretty good with that. They do follow up though, after, if it's something they feel they need to follow up on, they will follow up or have staff follow up. But I have not really seen them do a back and forth. Now I do know the city council does. I've seen it, but I've not seen my board do it.
Okay, Jackie.
Thank you, Kristine, so much for coming today. Can you share with us how we might get copies of the what's in that budget book as to what has been funded, especially around the nonprofit organizations?
You can go online and request the record, and they'll have to provide it for you.
Oh, no, wait a minute.
Who's Dale?
Well, so if you like go in and do a records request, and you can do it right on our website, our public information department gets that record request and they disperse it to whatever department, and in this case, it's probably our Office of Budget. You would get it from them. And they will send it to you in whatever form that you're asking for. You can also do it online. You can look at it online also.
I was looking at the advisory boards online, and I saw that some have first term by members and some have no term. Can you explain a little bit about what the difference in terms are for those?
Sure. The ones that have no term are ones that are currently doing an expired term. So they're not serving a first term yet.
My follow-up was, you talked about microfiche, and that's really antiquated in this day and time. So is there any movement toward digitizing as the mainstay for these records, and in now or the future?
We have them digitized also. but it is a requirement that we have them in book form, and it is a requirement of the Department of Natural and Cultural Resources that we have them on microfilm, just because we can look at records from, you know, the 70s, 80s, 90s, or whatever on microfilm, and not have to worry about having the proper way of viewing them. I mean, you know, like I said, the disc, the CDs, all those different things that go out of date, and we don't know what that would look like 50 years from now. I mean, I can't imagine, you know, some of the kids don't even know what, you know, an 8-track is, or you know, a 45 and that kind of stuff, because it's gone. And the same thing happens with the mini disc and the bigger disc and the CDs and all that. But microfilm, it seems antiquated, but it has stood the test of time.
Good morning. My name is Robert Collins. It's Kristine. Thanks for your time. I would like to ask this. You said, you said at the beginning that you are in love with what you do. It really lights you up. What about what you do gives you that excitement?
I think I was always interested in the law. And I love working with people. I love helping people. I think it's just in my nature. And I know that, you know, I'm a Mecklenburg County citizen, and I know that the things that we do, the board does, and I contribute to those good things that are happening in our community. And that lights a fire in itself. And you know, I have a great staff, and we care. And just caring about what happens in our county, in our city, in our community, and being able to be a part of that just really makes the difference.
Jackie had another question. Okay, go ahead, Keith.
The destruction of public records penalty seems like it's very minor and almost an invitation to somebody who would want to destroy something that may be on the record, but may not be consistent with their political thought or views. And in this day and climate, you think that maybe needs to be more restrictive, such that people, whether they're county commissioners, may think twice versus considering a possible felony for that destruction?
I don't know about a felony, but I agree. It should, you know, this is our history, and it should be, you know, up to fine maybe a little bit or whatever to distract people from doing something like that. Anybody with any integrity in a role like this, I can't imagine that it happens very often, but I do agree with you.
Can you tell us maybe the top 5 most popular advisory boards and why you think that is the case?
I can tell you that the alcoholic board is our #1. I mean, there's probably many reasons for it, but I also can tell you that it is a paid board. I think people, you know, it's a powerful board. So that is our #1. I would say another one would be the Park and Rec Commission. Simply because of what they're able to do, what they're currently, if you look on our advisory boards, you'll see what their commission is. So those are 2 that I can definitely say. And the community relations, I'm sorry, thank you. Community Relations Committee, that is a joint board between the county and the city. That is very popular. And our Juvenile Crime Prevention Committee is another one. And our Women's Advisory Board, I would say.
Thank you. Jasmine. Go ahead.
Good morning, I'm Toy Watson, how are you? Hey Mimi. Hey Jerry. I just have a question about, general advisory reports. How are topics, for the advisory reports determined? And the second question, just as a caveat to that, is can the public suggest an advisory board?
The topics, you mean?
Like the subjects around them, like.
Around each.
Yeah, so you just mentioned like the women's, the ones around alcohol, juvenile. How are those topics, like how do you give the subject matter that the advisory board is going to meet about and make suggestions and things of that nature?
So they each have, they all have bylaws and they have charges that they were created for. So it's whatever their charge is at that time. And then we also have, they come in and report to us, and some of them will come in and they give an annual report. And some of them also, if they have a need to, make a recommendation to the board about something, it's all in whatever their charge is.
Who determines the charge?
Wait a minute,
Oh, that's
we
actually
don't
a
go back and forth.
Okay.
We don't go back to you, because we don't come back to you.
I can do a point of privilege and kind of help you out with that. I served as, on the Women's Commission Board for several years. I was head of it for a couple of years. As you said, I should have came off, but.
Wait a minute, none of that matters because it's not
Okay,
on the mic.
sorry.
People online.
But I served as the head of that board, and stayed on longer than I should have, because it does have a term limit, but there was no one to come on to replace me. But we decided that, based upon the bylaws, our biggest charge was to make sure that, people were aware of the women here in the county, and Women's Equality Day was a very big thing to get that recognition, to make sure that all of the services that were available to women were known to women. So it's really, our charge was to just make sure that women were getting the fair treatment that we thought they should get in Mecklenburg County, and that could encompass whatever we thought would achieve that goal.
I know you had a part two, and you said, how does that, new advisory boards come about? And you just, if that is a suggestion, you write the commissioners. And it's something that, they created boards just from the Board of County Commissioners. Not necessarily joint, not necessarily, by statute, but there's some that they feel a need for, they will create it.
Thank you.
Yes.
Okay, not sure how to fully ask this. And I've seen this happen across the state, not sure if Mecklenburg County is one of those, but your neighboring county, Cabarrus County. So like anytime we see something on the agenda, let's say something, for example, Black Lives Matter, say it's on the agenda, and we're gonna organize and get everybody to this meeting. And next thing you know, the meeting was canceled or rescheduled. What is the process for them to, like, if they know that people about to organize for it, what's the process for us as organizers to either stop that or get information to the next where this meeting is about to get? I feel like they probably even done something like put it on a closed agenda. But how can we get this information, or how can we stop these meetings from getting canceled if we're organized, or if folks are organizing around something on the agenda that they don't want to have public conversation around?
Are these meetings, I know we don't do that, but are these meetings like of
Public county commissioners.
like, okay, we can't, we can cancel a meeting easily, per statute. Unfortunately, the statute says you can just cancel the meeting. We are still obligated to hold a regular meeting once a month, and it includes public comment once a month. We do, like I said, we do too. It's very rare that you will see us cancel a meeting. We've only, that I know of, canceled for weather or, something like that. Outside of that, but if there is a city or municipality or whatever, they follow, the North Carolina general statute is what they follow. So Answer your question? I'm sorry?
Okay, Glenn.
Good morning. Another powerful board is Central Piedmont too, I think. And so, but the, being on the Park and Rec board as a chairperson and kind of got kicked off a little bit because of my because of my voice. But my question is, and that's the problem for me. The problem for me is that when about like Jasmine, you know, they always supposed to televise things, but a lot of times they don't. Is that true or not? Because I know when they were doing that to us, it wasn't televised because I wanted to go back and see it and everything. So maybe I missed something. The question is,
It's Ms. Penn, right?
yes.
So I was there at that meeting. Actually, it is televised. They don't pick and choose what to televise. We televise our meetings from 6 o'clock until the end unless something happens with the videos. If you don't see the video on there and you're looking for it, as I said, that it is official they're not official, but they're considered meeting minutes. If I go back and look at meetings. If the meeting isn't online, I just go and I ask. If you don't see something, contact me, send me an email. I'll definitely contact our IT department and we can get that up on the website.
You said earlier that public inspection could not be done if it would frustrate the purpose of a closed session. And my question as a journalist is, who determines what, first of all, the closed session purpose was, which you stated, but then who decides and how do they decide if it was frustrate the purpose of that intended closed meeting?
The attorney, the county attorney decides that. Anytime I take closed session minutes. If I'm allowed, there are very few times when I'm not even allowed into the closed session. But for the most part, I take the closed session minutes. If there is a request for those minutes, I furnish them to the attorney first, so that he goes through and he lets it be known it's not going to frustrate the purpose, that it can be released. Now, frustrating the purpose means you can't come and say, hey, I want to know what Joe Smith's tax, what happened. You know, like if there was some type of tax issue, you're not going to see that. So that would frustrate the purpose. If you wanted to know everything that happened in closed session on June 15th, but half of those things were confidential, you're not going to get all those records, and that's what they need.
Okay, Jasmine.
Are the video meetings transcribed?
So if you go online and you're looking at the video, you will see, and I think it says transcribe. You can click on it, and it'll have words. But let me warn you, it doesn't do well because well, I won't call that AI, but because before people were really talking about AI, we've been doing this. So, but it does transcribe it. You just may not get all the correct words on there, but there is a transcription.
Okay, I'm gonna go back to Ken's question. That word frustrate, I think we have two different interpretations of that, because when you think about frustrate, you think about somebody being frustrated, but you said frustrate the purpose. So could you just kind of flesh that out? Because my interpretation of frustrate is different than the legal term. Okay.
Yeah, it just means that it's information we can't release for various reasons. It could be like an ongoing legal issue, and we can't, if we made that public, that could hurt whatever that court case is. And so that's what that means.
Or if, you know, like say, a tax issue, we're not gonna release that. It would frustrate the purpose because now you're putting somebody's tax business out in the, you know, in the public.
I have a question going back to those, the discretionary funds, the straw vote. Is that a space also where department heads could make decisions, or do they bring it to the commission vote for their final say? Like, what is the typical process to, again, just engage that system?
So, everybody, like, each of the 9 commissioners may have something they want to bring forth in straw vote. And they'll talk about it maybe with the county manager or whatever. It could be a variety of different things. Like I said, you know, one commissioner want more money for land acquisition. Maybe there was an organization that needed like a van. I think at one time, one of the commissioners asked for something for care packages for a women's center or something like that. So it's a variety of things that can be asked for in there. Typically, it wouldn't be departmental because departments ask for that in their own departmental budget. Like I have my departmental budget, and I get yeses and nos too, you know, but, so it's more or less, you know, these other one-time discussions and funds. Can I answer your question, Joey?
Okay, Law.
My question is, can you share with us, and you may have, and I wasn't listening well. So how much, can you give us an estimate of the property that is owned by Mecklenburg County? If you have that answer, if you know that at this point, how much property is owned? And I know that I served on the Park and Recs Commission for a while, and we were purchasing a lot of property for the park and recreation, for the walkways and everything. Do you know, can you share that information with us?
I don't have it, but I can actually get that information for you. I just don't have it readily available.
Okay, and I have a second question. The vacancies, you said you have about 20 vacancies. You have about 20 vacancies on your, for your advisories. Committees that you have, out of the 47 that you have.
For those 2, the adult care home and the nursing home, each one of them have over 20 vacancies.
Okay, and so how do you reach out to the community? I know they are published because I usually get a list of vacancies that are available to the city and the county. Are you trying to find diversity, people that are diverse to serve on these committees? And what's the process other than the advertisement that you all use to invite people to become a member of some of these committees?
So we use they have a board bulletin that's on our website, and we just started using LinkedIn. And I don't know how effective this is, but if you've ever come off of 277 and it's like on the parking deck, there's this big digital bulletin board. I laugh because when I want to see if my ad is up there for advisory boards and I'm sitting at the light, I don't get to do that because I can't see it from my windshield, unfortunately. But you know, we are open. We really are trying hard to get the word out. With these 2 boards, it's across. I've talked to my colleagues across the state. And these 2 boards are very difficult in most of the counties to fill the vacancies of. It's just a matter of applying, going on. It's on the Clerk's site, part of Mecklenburg County's website, where you can look at the board and put in your application. But we don't have many ways of advertising, and we are still working on that.
Okay, going back to those 2 boards, have you thought about reaching out to churches in the different communities. Because there are people out there who would serve on those, but they might not necessarily go online. And they may not even know about all those vacancies, because I didn't know about them until you just said it. So if you thought about reaching out to community groups or churches, I think you would get some responses.
We actually have gotten that suggestion, and we are looking into being able to do that, just to figure out what the best way to get that information out. And it may be doing a simple sheet like this, explaining it, and then giving them to the churches and the different organizations to get that out.
Another question about boards. So with North Carolina being an ABC state, what role would it encompass to be a part of an advisory board from within the county for the ABC space? What actually authority or power is being transpired as members of that board?
So that board is state run. We just there's just the different regions, so everybody has a part in the ABC board. But it is by statute to have an ABC board. So it's just kind of covering this particular part of the state, county. So I won't say every county, but because I'm not 100% sure, but most counties have an ABC board, but ultimately they report to the state board.
We only have 10 minutes left. Do we need to shorten? I don't know any questions.
Okay, do we have any more questions? Are there any?
Yeah,
okay,
so what decisions are being made from this position from a county perspective when they are giving the county decides the advisory board position, but what is the actual duty? What takes place from the perspective of purchasing power? If you say you want more, let's get rid of Ciroc and bring in get rid of them. But anyway, what brands or be carried in Mecklenburg County's ABC stores? Which decisions are being made from the advisory board?
It's part of their bylaws, and I don't have that offhand. I actually have that information, and you can get that on our website of what the ABC board is charged to do. So,
and it's different per county?
I would say I don't know. I would doubt it. But I wouldn't be sure.
Okay, and I'm gonna say this. I do know that the board did decide to bring in Uncle Nearest alcohol in a larger volume, that we only had a little bit, and they decided to. That was money. And they even came and did a tasting and everything.
What was that?
You had to pay $200.
Oh,
anyway,
okay.
Okay, I'm confused now. Who's next? It's Robert, and then this young lady, and then Jackie, and then Ken. And I'm gonna tell you, we don't have much time, so it's 30 seconds and 1 minute. Okay.
My question is, you're talking about the discretionary funds. Can anyone from the public request the discretionary funds if they have a 501(c) or something like that, or is it only for the people to say what they want the money to go to?
You would really reach out to a commissioner, maybe a commissioner in your district, maybe a commissioner at large, and advocate for yourself.
Georgia?
Yes, I had a question about, I know you said you didn't know how much property the city owns, but what board oversees land acquisitions that are available to either developers or community nonprofits who want to obtain city-owned land?
So, that would probably be a city function versus county, because the land that we, purchased is for parks, recs, affordable housing, something like that. And it gets taken off the tax roll. So it's a little different. As far as anybody that wanted to purchase land or something like that, or get the city involved, it's a little bit different than what the county does.
And I want, just a short comment, 30 seconds. On the ABC board, they do so many other things than deal with alcohol and the ABC stores. I mean, tremendous stuff. But Monica Drake is the chair.
Monica, okay, and Ken.
Yeah. You mentioned earlier about the penalties for timely listing code ordinances or other reasons. And I'm just curious as to if you've ever been fined, excuse me.
No, not as a county clerk.
Okay, that's the last question.
Okay, yes. Let's give this young lady a big hand.
Thank you so much. This has just been so informative. I mean, I have learned so much. I guess it's always something to be learned about city and county government. But thank you so much, and you're doing a great job. I wouldn't want your job, but you're doing a great job.
Thank you.
It's a lot. Okay, do we have any announcements? Okay, we do have some announcements.
I'll get, go ahead, Ken, and then.
If any of you have young kids who are interested in baseball, or young girls that may be interested in softball, there's a major 3-day event that's going to be held between the Stick Williams baseball field out on Tuckasegee across from West Mecklenburg and the Cannonballs or Fireballs field up in Kannapolis. Cannonballers, sponsored by the Minority Baseball Prospects. And I will send Steve the information, but it's happening this week, starts Thursday. And I suggest if you've got any kids who are interested in baseball, and my preference is baseball over football or basketball or soccer, so check it out. It's gonna be great. Plus there's also an HBCU Battle of the Bands.
Also, I will say this, a lot, I'm not sure if it's most of the CMS schools now have girls flag football.
Oh, yes.
So if you know any young ladies, I know one who's on the football team at Miles Park High School, but it's a great thing to watch these young ladies play flag football, guys. Okay.
I'd like to announce that on Thursday, June 5th, the Greater Charlotte Apartment Association is having a job fair from 1 to 6 p.m. at the South Boulevard Library. And we know that more than 100 people move into Charlotte every day, and apartments are going up everywhere. People have to work in these apartments, so they need help. So, and you know, some people can even get a reduction in rent if you work in some of the apartment communities.
Shay. Go ahead, and then Shay.
Actually, this is not an announcement. I do like to recognize Ms. Toy Watson. I wonder if she could. She's a first timer, and she's over a very important program at the USCC that has impacted a lot of the corridors in Charlotte. So if she could just.
She's also new to the Advanced Carolina team. This is my Mecklenburg County lead job.
Okay, I'm gonna let Shay, let me let Shay, and then I'm gonna let her speak.
I just want to let everyone know that Knight Foundation's Emerging City Champions grant process is open today. Tomorrow is the last day to enter, so check that out online. It's a great program for 18 to 35-year-olds.
yourself.
Good morning, everybody. I'm Toy Watson. I'm the Director of Community Impact for UNC Charlotte. Like Gerald said, our job is to, well, we just got recognized as a Research One Institute. And the reason why we were able to do that is because of you. The way that works is you have to say your institution is doing something that other institutions are not doing, or that's not their bread and butter, for lack of a better word. And so our bread and butter is at UNC Charlotte is going into the community and co-producing solutions, research with the community, for the community, and just rolling out the green carpet for the community. So we really want everybody to feel like you are a part of UNC Charlotte. So if you ever want to come to the library, use our resources, you have a research opportunity, something that you just want to know, please do come by. And basically what we do is, in my department, is we go into corridors that was named the corridors of opportunity. And inside of those corridors, we work with community members and stakeholders. We ask, what has happened in your community that is keeping you from really thriving and succeeding? And how can the university be of service to help you solve those things? And then we try to produce a solution together to do that. And so if you have any ideas, if you're in the corridor of Charlotte, please let me know. I can leave my email address. And then the last thing is, we have the largest collection of Julius Chambers work that's going to be we're about to do an archival of that. And I'm a native Charlottean, third generation. I was bused. So if you're interested in learning about that history and learning what he did, seeing his writings, first integrated law firm in the Southeast, specifically here in Charlotte with Julius Chambers. So if you're interested in learning some history about him, please do. And if you have some research like Che did with that graveyard, and he did some research with UNC Charlotte, please do so. Let us know so we can be more available to you, and anything that you feel like is a challenge, we can make sure that we'll help you with that.
And you mentioned integrated law. You know, the governor of North Carolina, Stein, his father was a member of Julius Chambers law firm.
He was the first white attorney in that first integrated law firm.
Right, that's what I thought I said. Okay, if there are no other questions, we want to thank, no other announcements, we want to thank everyone for coming. Winston, send us out. Take us out.
Hey, thank you for coming to another exciting episode of Rendition of Tuesday Morning Forum. We will see you next week when our guest is somebody incredible. Come on, y'all, check us out at 8:30 p.m. right here at the Belmont Center.